More than any other area in the United States, Southern California seems to be under siege from wildfires.
Because of the Santa Ana winds, because we have drought periods, wildfires around here can be pretty rampant. And a lot of areas in Southern California, you have your urban area that all of a sudden meets up with, the wildland area. And unfortunately, in so many instances, especially when we get wind-driven fires, that is the first line of defense to even protect the city.
If you live on these front lines, removing vegetation that helps fuel fires is mission critical. It's an assignment that Ian Newsam and his co-workers have an insatiable appetite for.
There's no other way to really say it, but I'm a goat herder.
That's right, goats. Not just any goats. Mr. Newsam and his wife herd an elite squad of brush-clearing ruminants.
We've trained them to be elite. They do need to be selected. And not all goats can be brush goats. Generally, if they've been raised in captivity, it would probably stand there and wait for you to come and feed it. That's why we look for independent goats that can kind of take care of themselves.
Hardy breeds, like the boar, or Kiko, or parasite-resistant Spanish goat.
We look for goats that have already been on brush and eat what they need to eat.
Which, contrary to what you've been told, is not anything and everything that they see.
Actually, they can be relatively selective. They're like kids, they love candy. So they'll eat that first and work their way down to the vegetables.
They start with seed heads and flowers and leaves, stripping the area of what Mr. Newsam calls fuel.
Anything that is capable of adding to a fire, leaves on the ground, weeds, thistles that can get up to 8 feet tall, they become kindling.
And because it climbs into the canopy, this is known as ladder fuel. And Newsam's goats can get that as well.
Some of our goats, the tall boys, can climb or can stand on their hind legs and reach up to 9 feet.
And that's just one of many biological advantages of using goats to clear brush. Like cows or sheep, they have 4 stomachs, the first of which is called the rumen. This acts like a big fermenter filled with bacteria that breaks down the plant matter. After some time, back up it goes, to be swallowed and chewed again. The goat does this over and over until it's broken down enough to be passed to the goat's other stomachs, where its nutrients can actually be absorbed. The whole process requires a lot of plants.
They eat anywhere between 5 to 15% of their body weight a day.
For you and me, that's a lot of salad.
And so therefore they're very inefficient eaters, which kind of works in our favor.
They also have
one of the largest livers of all the ruminants, which makes them capable of actually consuming plants that would be deemed toxic. Even Cape ivy is considered toxic, but the goats just devour it like there's no tomorrow.
But unlike sheep or cows, goats aren't grazers. They prefer to browse, munching down shrubs and dry weeds that can make brush fires worse.
Another thing is the goat's urine is very low in nitrates, so it's better suited for native plants as opposed to weeds.
In order to ensure the goats consume all of the fuel in a given area without destroying native perennials, the Newsams use a system of targeted browsing.
Even if we're doing a 10-acre, we'll break it into 2 or 3 parcels so that we can get that targeted hit. We don't keep them there for extended period of times.
Behind fences and guarded by predator control dogs who can fend off coyotes and mountain lions, the goats can work day and night. A cost-effective solution compared to hiring a crew with chainsaws or heavy machinery, who might not even have access to the area in the first place.
We need to be able to get into some of those canyons or those steep inclines, and the goat is uniquely fitted for that.
But even while he advocates for these brush-clearing wonders, Newsam understands that most of Southern California's wildfires are man-made, and goats can't prevent them from starting. Instead, he hopes people will see them as part of a solution.
In most instances, it's going to take a combination from hand crews even down to, the planning of where you're going to build and what material you're going to build with. It's just one of those tools that is capable of being in areas that you can't sometimes get people, that wild urban interface that we would like to work in.
And that these goats seem to be most at home in. For Science Friday, I'm Luke Groskin.